The next item, 7K, is first review of new employee handbook. And of course, this is a big deal. It's going to be on for approval next month. I'll let Mrs. Zardi speak to it, but needless to say, there's just been an enormous amount of time and work and energy and discussion and thought that's gone into this. This is really sort of defines the new world in our school district and rights and responsibilities. So it's a really big deal, and we all need to really spend a considerable amount of time being familiar with it before it goes forward for approval. It's certainly been subject to a lot of review and vetting by board members, staff, both support and professional staff members, administration. So it's certainly been reviewed a lot, but still, it is a big deal, and I would encourage everyone to spend some time with it. I don't know, Mrs. Zardi, if you have
I think you summarized that quite
anything to
well.
add.
You know, the fact that it's been reviewed numerous times in different venues, whether it was board policy or the staff, the handbook committee itself. I just want to thank the board for having a very open, transparent process for our teachers and our support staff to be involved in the discussion. You know, ultimately, it was your decision. This was not a negotiation. You had the final say on every topic that is in the handbook, but we created an atmosphere through the process that we use that let people have their opinions be shared. I think our teaching staff and support staff felt valued in that process, and that's extremely important. You know, we want that type of an atmosphere for our students in the classroom, and it's just greatly appreciated that you created that type of a culture for the staff as well. So we understand that this is not over with, that, you know, yearly we'll be looking probably a few times during the course of the year. We'll be having updates and changes, and just today I was talking with Sheila Butzler about the PDP process and where that stands, and that was an area of the TA contract that we really didn't talk about in terms of how we're going to address that with the teacher salary scale. So there's lots of things that still are out there that, you know, we're going to have to be responding to and dealing with, and we'll be adding, and it's just a fluid document. So, but I think there were a number of opportunities where I think the board actually made some decisions that benefited teachers and support staff to a greater degree than what their contracts at one time had. So I know the attitude that we had was, you know, we're faced with having to deal with change. Let's make things better. And I think we just have to continue to move forward with that type of thinking, that we're faced with challenges, but we can make things better. We can be better by working together to come up with improved ways of doing things. And I think the handbook that we've put together will allow us to do that. So go ahead and finish, Jack.
Did we put a paragraph in here about where to find the policies?
It's actually at the start of the handbook.
Okay. That's I was looking at the end for it.
It's right after the welcome and the introduction. It just talks about the district website, and that they can go there to
Oh, there it is.
Getting all of the policies. If you feel like we need to beef that up more, we certainly can.
Just maybe bold it, that sentence. Not change it, but
Yeah.
bold it. We had quite a discussion of whether we should, in the current handbook, there's some policies listed in there or explained in there, and we had quite a discussion on whether we should continue that practice or whether all policies are important, and instead of picking some out, just say where to find the policies. And that's kind of what we came up with, instead of listing, or somebody used the term cherry picking or whatever.
We had talked about, do we want to include the table of contents from the board policy, but that would be,
Too many pages.
probably another 15 pages. They can see it online again. You can go online and see all of that. So.
Any other questions or thoughts? Well, spend some time. I guess I'll just emphasize, after sort of from going forward, we were given so much more authority to decide many of the things that had been decided in collective bargaining before. And so in some respects, we're even, we have more authority, but we're more responsible for the success or failure of the school district. In some ways, you can't point at the collective bargaining agreement and say, well, we had to do that. So it's obviously changes can be made, and they will be made, but it's a big deal. It's important, and if anyone has some concerns or questions, the earlier you can express those, the better. Because it needs to be we need to have something in place next month.
Yes.
Anything else?
Are you okay with the font, Mr.?
Yeah, what is that?
As I was looking at it, I thought, I wonder if this is the font that John wanted.
No, she asked me to choose one, but it looks like she went ahead and exercised her own discretion.
Well, I didn't hear from you.
There's a lot of choices.
Yes.
Like old English myself.
Yeah.
The New Times Roman.
No, this looks good. It's not.
Aparajita or something. Aparajita. Never used it before.
Okay. Well, if anyone has concerns about the font as well as the language, it's open for
As long as
discussion.
I can read it.
Okay. Moving on.